Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff, and we're here at the 2K offices in beautiful, awfully, horribly rainy Novato, California. And I'm here with Corey Davis. How you doing, sir?
Great, thanks a lot.
Now, you're the lead designer at Jaeger, working on Spec Ops: The Line. What can you tell us about the game? It's a third-person shooter, but it sounds like you're going for a lot of dynamic stuff with all this sand. What's up with sand?
Actually, it's kind of like the icing on the cake for the setting that we've chosen, which is Dubai, obviously. But it gives us a lot of opportunities. Like, for example, if you walk into a lobby, instead of walking on the ground, you may be walking up near like where the chandeliers are and things like that, and seeing things that you wouldn't typically be able to see in new ways. And then on top of that, it gives us gameplay opportunities. We get to fight inside of brutal sandstorms that change the way that AI reacts. And then on top of that, the player can change the way that sand moves and flows physically and dynamically in the environment. So it gives us a lot of cool chances to have fun, actually.
Now, you're going to be rolling with a squad. It's a three-man crew moving through Dubai. How are they going to work tactically? What kind of control do you have over your other two men?
Yeah, actually, you have full control over these guys. You have the ability to tell them where to go. You can tell them who to attack. You can tell them how to attack. But these guys are intelligent special forces units. So if you don't want to manage them, then they'll support you in the decisions that you make in combat as well.
And now I'm joined by Walt Williams, who is the co-story writer and story editor for Spec Ops: The Line. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So you've been charged with crafting what sounds like it's a very important piece of the line, and that's the story.
That's right.
Can you just go over kind of the basics of that story for the folks at home?
Absolutely. What the line is about is this is taking place in the near future in the city of Dubai, after the city has been completely ravaged by cataclysmic sandstorms and has been essentially left for dead. It is a dead man's land. And a Colonel John Conrad, American colonel, and his battalion were left behind in the city attempting to evacuate survivors, but were believed lost and dead in the storm. In the present time of the game, we have picked up a transmission from him, believing him to still be alive. And so our squad has now entered into Dubai, where they believe that no one is left alive, to find Colonel John Conrad and any other survivors that may be there. And as the squad is progressing further into the city, they're discovering not only is Conrad still alive, but there's a large group of people still alive, and something very wrong is happening. Something very bad that has kept these people alive that may be because of Conrad. And the squad is forced to face with that decision. How do you rescue a man who may not, want to be rescued, or be worthy of rescue? Morality
and kind of that sort of stuff seems to have keep coming back, and that seems like something that'll be a choice that players will make during the game. Does that make the story more difficult to craft if you have to kind of take into account some different choices?
Not necessarily. It helps make the story a richer experience, because we're putting the player in the shoes of soldiers in a very horrific situation where they are forced to make on-the-spot choices in the middle of combat and the situation around them that isn't necessarily based on, well, I'm trying to be the good guy or I'm trying to be the bad guy, but what's the best for my mission right now? How am I going to complete this mission? Because that's the one goal that I have. And so it creates, what we're looking to do is make a very provocative, realistically moral shooter that deals with war. And if anything, it makes the story easier to craft. It allows us to tell that provocative story much better, much stronger.
Spread out and find them.
All right, I'm back, and I'm here with Greg Kasavin, producer here at 2K Games. How's it going? Good to meet you.
Going well.
Yeah?
Good to meet you, too.
One of the things you said before Spec Ops: The Line was announced, I remember it was something that you wrote on Twitter saying, in really non-specific terms, that this is your kind of game.
Yes, this is my kind of game.
When I think of, what is Greg Kasavin's kind of game, I think of savagery.
Yes.
I think of violence. Not necessarily meaningless violence.
That's right. Though meaningless violence can sometimes be okay.
It certainly has its place.
Yeah. Those things can be appealing to me. I like games that are not restrained in what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I think this is that sort of game that's not trying to kind of whitewash a particular military scenario. Like this is showing things at a pretty grim level and at a certain level of intensity that I think is well above the norm and hopefully more intense than what people have ever played before. In fact, I'm also a total sucker for games that try to kind of weave together the narrative experience and the gameplay and kind of combine them as closely as possible. So it's not enough to just have good gameplay and a good story. They have to be like connected at the hip, and what you're doing in the game has to be what the story is about.
So it's not things that are like taking you out of the action for a story element with like
exactly
moral button presses. It's about like
you're actually performing
experience.
the action. Yeah, there's it's as interactive as possible, and you're getting inside the head of your character as much as possible. You're empathizing with the situation, so you can relate to what's going on, even though what's going on might be completely out of the ordinary.
Right.
So those are absolutely qualities of this game and qualities in many of my favorite games of the past. So that's what we're going for.
Now you've got single player. There's also multiplayer. You're not really saying too much about what that's going to be.
We're not. We'll have a big old multiplayer reveal some other time. And so for now, we're just saying multiplayer will be there. It's a super important part of the game because any military shooter aspiring to be, an excellent entry in like a super competitive and, really high quality genre on the whole needs to have a strong multiplayer component. So that's really important to us. And it's going to be connected to the narrative in this game's case, and it's going to hit all the bases in terms of your kind of co-op type feel, your team-based and your free-for-all types of modes. So there will be a lot to it, but we're being cagey about the details for the time being.
Well, maybe you can at least tell me when it's going to come out and what platforms it's going to
It's coming out on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC sometime in the winter. So we announced it as a fiscal 2011 title, which is as early as November of this year. So, but we haven't pinned down an exact date. Hopefully we will before long.
Great. Greg, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you.
Something's going on up there. Tango down.